Hey there, pals. We just got back from Sri Lanka. It was a wonderful trip. We didn't expect it to be this good. We went there for 2 weeks and we spent about $1,500. I just want to tell you that this video is going to be emotional. I won't go into the details of what we did. To find the regular stuff about how to get from one place to another, check out the description. Details, life hacks, it'll all be there. Because now I would like to focus on telling you about our trip to Sri Lanka. That's what I'm gonna do. I'll tell you about the resources Sveta used because she did a lot of preparation for this journey. She studied the info thoroughly. So I'll name you 4 resources that she'd found. Okay? Okay, so it was Chapacho, Lanka.ru, Sun Lanka, and finally, Life and Travels. So those are the websites we checked. So perhaps those will be useful for you too. And if those of you who wrote those articles are listening, I just want to thank you for what you did. Right, so the most important thing you should know before you come here is what you should bring along. Alright, so socket adapters, a branch, and the third and the most important thing is earplugs. Because some hotels are just way too loud. They sometimes fail to mention that there's a disco bar or a club nearby, you know? Now the visa. We are the citizens of Russia, so we did our visas online. It took us about a week, so that wasn't a lot of hustle at all. They sent us the confirmation and we only had to pay $35. Right, about the money exchange. They have an okay rate at the airport. As it happens, there's only one airport, so you change the money there. Don't bother searching for exchange joints. It's no use. Some people were saying that you can save some money by finding a cheaper one. But it's kind of hard and not necessarily worth it at all. I won't go into details about the plane tickets because we came from Samui. Because we bought them in advance and we had a great deal on the tickets. And another thing we did was that we made a video review of every hotel we stayed in, so you'll find it easy to track our route. Check out the places we stayed in. And I'll give you my view on every town we saw, but generally, more information can be found in the description to this video, okay? Plus, if you watch this video in, let's say, in the beginning of 2017, then by the time the year 2017 is half gone, there'll be even more links in the description. Okay, now let me tell you a little bit about our trip. So we started by flying to the airport. We had some sleep. It doesn't really matter where you stay at this point. And on the next day we went to Sigiriya. Then we went to Kandy. Then there was Nuwara Eliya. Then Ayla. After that, Tissamaharama. I don't remember how to spell it correctly. Then we hit the beach town Mirissa. And finally Hikkaduwa. Oh right, we also went to Galle. Right, let's sum it up. We came to the airport, exchanged the cash, and here's the important thing. You get yourself a SIM card. And there are plenty of options to choose from. They suggested that we should connect to Dialog, and it was alright. And the most interesting thing is that when you come to where they sell SIM cards, Dialog had the biggest queue. There wasn't a single person standing in a row to make any other type of SIM card. So you come to an airport, you exchange the cash, make a SIM card, and boom, that's it. You're good to go. Anyway, we met the driver who took us to some pointless hotel. We stayed for a night. It was kind of okay. The driver was alright. The problem was that it was very noisy, which is why I'm not going to recommend it to you, for the sake of your time. So we got up, got ourselves a tuk-tuk that brought us to the bus station, and we were on our way to Sigiriya. And let me tell you about the bus. It struck me as peculiar what was happening inside before we took off. So it's like you sit inside waiting for the bus to move, but no, random people start coming inside the bus and they just start offering you random stuff like golden products, food and drinks, some huge poster with Buddha. I mean, I get that. And the whole bus is like painted in things. It's kind of crazy. They have like speakers in it. The music is playing. There's a TV. The driver smokes God knows what. So you kind of get the feeling of what the Sri Lanka is all about the moment you get in that bus. So here's how we moved around. We thought that we either use the local transport system, things like buses and trains, or we thought we might get a driver. I was actually more keen on getting a driver, paying him like $50 and that's it, so that we could stop anywhere we want, make photos and whatnot. But where to find one? That's like a big question, because all those that Russian managed to find at first got spoiled. You see, they started raising the price, lying, so basically it's not worth it. And we decided that we're gonna get a driver and we'll try to experience the whole thing the other way. So we decided to abandon the idea of getting a driver. We thought that the public transport should probably suffice. It's cheaper this way, so that's like fine. Saving money is always good. Okay. Alright, so when we came to Sigiriya, the very first thing that impressed us was the owner of the hotel. So our hotel room basically consisted of 2 rooms. When we came to the owner of the place, he told us that he speaks Russian a little, that he was studying it, and he even had a dictionary, so he asked us how we were doing in our native language, so that was quite nice. So it's like, he talks to you and you understand what he's saying. Not just a couple of phrases, but a genuine conversation. It's not like hi and bye and that's it. No, he knows quite a few words. And I was like, okay, let's teach you a little bit. By the way, he brought us tea straight away, and that's like the thing I like most about this place, is that they have this tea culture. Like in Thailand, you order a tea and they bring you a little cup filled with hot water and they just throw a Lipton tea bag in it, like, here you go. 100 baht, please. So it's quite different over here, you see. And somehow it happens that Sri Lanka gathered a lot of negative comments, so when we were getting ready for the trip, we didn't really know what to expect. We weren't sure about the prospects of the journey. Didn't know much about the country generally, but it turned out to be very good. So it was like that. The moment he opened the door, he started talking to us in Russian, asking how was our trip and stuff. He's a native to the place, by the way. So he showed us the room, which, by the way, you'll find in the description, okay? So 10 minutes later, he brings us a nice tray with tea, large kettle, 2 cups, some milk, sugar, 2 buns, little things like that, like so. And he pours the tea, tells about its origin. Very lovely. So you kind of sit there, you drink the tea, and you think to yourself, wow, this isn't bad at all. But it was already 4 o'clock, so we wanted to go to the restaurant. And while Sveta was changing, I decided to talk to that guy a little bit, so we started talking. And I gave him an example on the tea subject. I said that the tea was good. And then he asked me how to say that the tea is better than good, if it's amazing. So I taught him the word incredible. And he learned a new word. And so then I said that we're looking for a restaurant to get something to eat. And I asked him if there are any good restaurants around. He named a few. And I was like, okay, and what about incredible restaurant? Are there any? And he was like, yeah. And so he gave me the address of an incredible restaurant. So we went to that incredible restaurant, and as it was only our second day, we didn't really know what we should order because it was all very new to us. And so Sveta decided to get their national dish called kadu, and from her point of view, it was the best kadu she had in Sri Lanka. So that restaurant in Sigiriya has the best kadu, mind that. So if you really feel like figuring out what kadu tastes like, you should definitely check that place out. I don't remember the name of the restaurant, but I'll leave the link in the description. Check it out. So the next important step we took was the Sigiriya itself, and so now I'm gonna tell you about it. To tell you the truth, I'm kind of tired of those major attractions that countries got to offer. It's like sometimes they just show you some big old stone and you kind of look at it with a numb face. Right, so... Okay, and we went to see that massive stone, and it started raining like hell. When we came there, I was like, Sveta, what the hell? What did we get ourselves into? Why didn't we pick the right weather when it wouldn't be raining? We were picking dates specifically because they mentioned that there aren't any rains by the end of January. So we asked the owner about it, and he said that in November, December, and January, it rains sometimes. So if you're gathering info about the weather, I'd say you should go in February. I'm not going to talk about the summer, it's just February and March are okay. It's the best timing. And although some people say that it is way too hot during the summer, that Sri Lanka is dead hot, but you should also be aware about the rain season. So all I'm saying is that when you prepare for the trip, make sure you check the weather forecast, okay? So it was raining and we were forced to get up on that stone in those dreadful conditions. So we went up, we looked down, the view was quite beautiful, but when it's raining and it's all foggy, when you're all wet, you get up there and it's windy, you kind of think to yourself, man, I hope I won't catch a flu. So we went up, had a brief look around us, and I was like, that's it, let's get out of here. So we stayed there about 5 minutes, although it was quite large with a lot to see. So the weather was bad, we changed and went further. We went to Kandy, and that's when the weather got better. It was all good, no rains, no nothing. So when we came to Kandy, we stayed at a nice hotel, and the thing I liked most about that hotel was the view and the way the personnel treated us. The owner of that hotel was a native, and his wife, I think it was his wife who was from Ukraine, so they both were in charge of that hotel. So they treated us very nicely. It's like we didn't really like our first room. We had a look around and we asked for a room with a better view. So we asked him about the view, and he said that he has better options. But it was a bit more expensive, and we were fine with that. We were willing to pay. I mean, because you never quite know what you'll get when you do the booking, right? It's like the bottom floor might give you an unpleasant sight on some vegetation or something, and if you only get one stair up, you'll immediately see a way better view. I asked how much, and he said, no worries, it's okay, don't worry. And I was like, wow, that's cool. And then he brought us upstairs to show the brand new apartment that was under reconstruction at the time, so he brought us there, and it was so beautiful. It would have been very lovely to have breakfast up there. Right, so talking about Kandy, here's the thing that got me hooked. There were two things, the Buddhist Museum and the Botanical Garden. If you like to party, that doesn't sound too promising, but believe me, it's very well worth it. It's got a high rating on TripAdvisor, but we just wanted to get the most of the whole trip, so we made sure that we get ourselves a guide. The guy was like, that's gonna cost you 1,000. And I was like, how about 600? And he was fine with that. And after that, I kind of regretted that because I thought I could pay less. So that was a bit frustrating, to be honest. He said that the Korean Buddha looks like this, in other countries it looks like this, in China he's fat, and so on. Because before we didn't really pay much attention to those facts, but now we were like, wow, that's interesting. You know, at some point I felt like he was kind of trying to reel us in. All kinds of details about Buddhism, about its origins, and all that for about 14-15 minutes. So at some point I had to stop him and ask questions about other stuff. He was like, okay, let's move on. Okay, whatever. And so when we went to the botanical garden, so what's the best thing about the botanical garden in Kandy? Well, first of all, it's darn beautiful. It's got some of the most unusual species of trees I have ever seen in my life. And they all grow in different ways. And there were also foxes, some kind of flying foxes, if I recall correctly, Batman foxes or something like that. Huge parks, and the best part about the parks is that they are very lovely. They sort of make you feel like you want to walk around them forever. And another thing about the park is that at some point Gagarin came to see it, so Yuri Gagarin planted a tree there, and there's a legend that says that when he died, the tree stopped growing and eventually died. And he wasn't the only person to plant a seed there. There were all kinds of famous people who did that. Even Nikolai II planted one. It was huge. So it was great. Alright, so the next stop was Nuwara Eliya, the place with a kinda tricky name. I couldn't even spell it right at first. Kinda difficult to pronounce, really. Alright, doesn't matter. When I first came to Samui, I was confused by the way they call things there. Alright, anyway, the cool thing about using a public transportation is that when you're on the train, it's an attraction on its own. When you move from one place to another on a train, you engage yourself in a kind of adventure. And the point of the adventure is that you get to see marvelous views. Okay? And it's hard to get on a train too. So when we figured that we should get tickets from Kandy to Nuwara Eliya, we faced a certain problem. It turned out that usually people buy tickets in advance, a week in advance at least. So they were surprised by our ignorance, and they basically said that we could come tomorrow and they would see what they could do. Because there was a possibility that someone will return their tickets. So we came back on the next day and asked them what's up, and they were like, well, here's a row of people like you, they're looking for buying tickets too. So we were like, okay, it was lucky that the bus stop was near. It isn't exactly like when you're in Laos and you have absolutely no idea where to go. So anyway, lucky the bus stop was really near, and it's good that all the locals speak English. It's cool when you can interact with people easily. So that was cool. So the point is that there's a bus driver, right? And there's also another type of employee whose main job is to scream and call you up to take the bus. So they like scream all the time, so I came to him and told him that I need to get to Nuwara Eliya, and he was like, go that way. So then I went where he showed me to go, and there was another one of these, and so I said that we need to get to Nuwara Eliya again. And he replied to go further that way. And so finally we found our way around and got to the bus we needed. So we stepped inside the bus, and while it was still getting packed with tourists, the locals found their way in and began offering our random beverages and stuff. All kinds of people who feel like they must sell you stuff. So you just kind of sit there thinking, man, what the hell? And you're like, well, whatever. It's just the way this country is. So the bus got packed and the door closed, and we went to Nuwara Eliya. The road was okay. We got into the hotel, and there was another funny little moment. The reason why I talk about hotels so much is because we consider ourselves to be rather experienced travelers, and we have things to share with others. And hotels are like crucial for people who want to be able to have a good rest. You see, because when you have a lot of action going on, and the end of the day, you just sort of want to relax and have a rest. And so the place that we picked was the best in the sense of the value for money. Of course, there were little downsides to it. There was like only one photo on booking.com, and Sveta asked me whether we should take the risk. And I was like, yes, let's do it. So we came there were no signs, the hotel was newly built, we asked a few people about it, and they couldn't give us a satisfactory reply. So we were kind of disappointed at first, but then we found that guy. He was a tuk-tuk driver who happened to know the owner. So what he did is he called the owner of the place. He happened to know the guy actually, and he came and started asking us how we feel and everything. So then we asked him to show us the room. And he showed us the room and it was really good. We really liked it. There were 2 huge double beds. We kind of wondered why it was like that, but anyway, it was all fine and dandy. And when we thought it was it really wasn't. He brought us upstairs where there was a home theater. There was a kitchen you could use. So if you feel like making yourself a tea or coffee, you could do it anytime you wanted. And so we contacted the tuk-tuk guy who hooked us up with the hotel owner and asked him to get us to see the waterfall and the tea plantation. There were 3 tea plantations, I think. So they kind of take you there and show all those tea gardens. And being the huge tea enthusiasts we are, we went to see the whole 3 of them. I was never really into the whole tea game, by the way, but Sveta happens to love tea quite a bit, so we thought it was wonderful. So first we went to that tea production site. I'll leave the link in the description to it. I'll call it the tea plantation number 1. So it was the closest one to us at the time. So we checked out their ways of gathering and making tea. And I didn't even know that the major brands, they just take that tea. They buy it, put their name on it, and sell it. So all the things that they say about gathering the tea is pure bullshit. They just buy it off gardens. That's all they do. They just put their name on it. That's it. So basically the tea can be the same, from the very same plantation. And the brands are kind of trick you into buying their stuff when there isn't anything that would defer them from other types of tea selling companies. So we hanged around there and Sveta really liked it. I didn't think it was very interesting. And we took a look at some temple. We hanged around. There was a lake. There was a lawn with horses and stuff. So it was all very, very lovely. We liked it. Right, so on the next day we got ourselves a different tuk-tuk driver because Sveta wanted to go to a specific tea garden. The one where the queen gets her tea. The queen herself. She already learned that there are different kinds of tea, that there's dust, there's orange pekoe, best orange pekoe, silver and all that stuff. But the Ceylon tea always keeps the mark. It is believed that the Sri Lankan tea is the best kind of tea in the world. And the queen herself buys only the specific kind of tea at that very same fabric. And Sveta really wanted to come over and buy the best tea they had to offer, which is why we got a tuk-tuk and went there. We made photos of women gathering the tea leaves. And if you're a photographer or videographer, you might find the place very interesting. And Sri Lanka as a whole is a sort of like the land of content. You're never quite out of it. So these women, they see you and they come over immediately. That sort of thing. You give them a bit of money without even regretting it. Because they really do their job thoroughly. And they even point to one another, saying, "Look, I've got my friend over there. She's pretty too." Anyway, you get the point. So we made photos and had some tea and thought, hey, there's another one, not far. Let's get there. And it was there that we liked it most of all. It's like if you only have a couple of hours of time and you want to see the tea garden, that is a place to go. That's the tea garden number 3, okay? Why, you ask? Because there you have a chance to try out different types of tea, you see? Dust, orange pekoe, golden, silver, you try it, you get it, and you buy it. You know what I'm saying? You really get to try it out. So you have a lot to choose from, and you pick the stuff you like better, so that's all very lovely. It's good that you get to test them at first. So we bought some tea. We were concerned about the luggage at first, but it was okay, as it turned out. because normally we would travel with a hand luggage. Oh yes, and by the way, I forgot to mention, there was a strawberry farm, and I wouldn't say that it was too good. Strawberry in Russia tastes better. I mean, if you're a big strawberry fan, then go ahead and check it out. But if you're not a big enthusiast, you can just skip it. So, what we did was that we went to the post office and we posted the tea to ourselves, basically. By the way, it's already there. So if we sent it on the 13th of January, on the 6th of February it got there. It was already in Thailand, knocking on our door, and we're kind of still here. So we had a strong desire to find out about the tea, and there was another place where everybody should go. It's called Horton Plains. It's a national park, and it's better to get there by bus. You see, the day before we went to that park, we wanted to get here on a tuk-tuk. So the tuk-tuk came to pick us up at 4 o'clock in the morning. They picked us up and we told them to get us to Horton Plains, and those were the plantations up the hills, so not the most warm place you can find. So I woke up at 4 o'clock. He was wearing a hat, by the way, the guy, a trendy type of jacket, and I thought to myself that it might be kind of cold out there. Alright, so I just gave the guy a bit of money, excused myself, and said that we were not going anywhere. Because it was raining, kind of cold, and I just said, no, that's too much to bear. Let's do this another time. So we figured that tuk-tuk wasn't an option at all. And we were right, because it's best if you get a car. I mean, if you have a choice, you should get a car, 100%. See, it's cold and those guys are kind of slow. So you just kind of take a car and get on with it. So if you go from Nuwara Eliya to Ella, you probably won't be able to buy tickets right at hand. If you got to Kandy first and then you want to get from Nuwara Eliya to Ella, you should buy the tickets from Nuwara Eliya to Ella while you're still in Kandy. Make sure to check that. We were told that you don't necessarily have to go back to the city center to go back to Ella. The Horton Park isn't far from the railway station. That's the thing. I'll give you the name of the place where you should go. An easy way to get to Ella, basically. Right, so here's the important thing. The train leaves at 10:20 if you go to Ella. You get there on time. We were 10 minutes late. Our train left. We stayed there for 3 hours. And here's another thing. When you look at the train timetable and schedule, definitely make sure to print screen the timetable. Because we had apps and stuff, and we checked them, and the server was updating. We were like, okay. The day had passed, and the server was still updating. 2 days. Server updating. There was no end to it. So it took 2 weeks. So we were forced to talk to locals to figure things out. Now let me tell you about Horton Plains. It's like you come there, you get out of the car, you look on the left, you see a huge elk, and he's like staring at you, just like I'm staring at you right now. And that guy's alright. And he's out there in the wild. There were no fences, nothing. And he had a buddy there, so that was pretty cool. So there was this sort of control system that didn't allow you to bring trash in there. So we had to leave all our bags we had. I really like that they are very cautious about the environment. They separate the trash in a very accurate manner. Plastic goes separate from the general waste. So we liked Horton Plains. It was a walk, basically. The view was very beautiful. The only thing I would recommend is to take some kind of ear patch because it might get rather windy at times. At the same time, you should be aware that after a couple of hours in the sun, you might feel very hot. So you don't necessarily should bring a whole jacket along, but I suggest you get a little something to keep yourself warm. So we went to various viewpoints, really marvelous ones. There was also a waterfall, but it wasn't too good. Talking about viewpoints, I think that was the best one I've ever been to. I really enjoyed it. We really enjoyed Nuwara Eliya because there's a lot to see and it's definitely worth coming there. So we went further to Ella and we read an article where some people praised Ella and others liked Nuwara Eliya. Well, let me tell you, as someone who had been to both of those places, I suggest you see both. Okay, and so now I tell you about Ella. So we got ourselves a nice hotel, thanks to Sveta. We really enjoyed it, and again we were surprised by what the owner did. It was the cutest hotel owner I've ever seen in my life. So we got up and they brought us a freshly squeezed juice for free. And we really wanted to stay more because we liked it all that much, but he said that they were already booked. Because he only had like 2 rooms basically. There was a hotel nearby and it was more expensive, and this guy knew the owner of that hotel, so he figured a way for us to live in that hotel for half a price. So we got really lucky there. So that was a nice little surprise for us. A better hotel for a better price. So we were like, okay. It was called Sun Breeze, and I must tell you that I was pretty much addicted to tea by that point, so I ordered some tea straight away. I asked them to bring it to our room. The hotel was fine, nice balcony, nice view. So once we settled, the guy enters the room with a tea we ordered, with a proper tea set and everything. And so he brings it over to the balcony. I can't say it was superb, but the view was marvelous. I was just sitting there for 2 or 3 hours enjoying. For me, it was the ultimate moment of the whole trip. And Sveta was totally right when she guessed that I need the atmosphere. And we found it there. It was perfect atmosphere. I was just sitting there, relaxed. I was feeling very good. Drinking that tea, watching the view. So then we thought about finding the best viewpoint, a place where we could check out the sunset. So we came to that place. I don't remember what it's called exactly. But anyway, the view was beautiful. We ordered some tea and they brought it in a way it's supposed to be brought to you, just like I like it. The big kettle, a couple of cups, sugar, a bit of milk, just the way I want it. Not to mention marvelous view. So we went back to the hotel and Sveta was like, hey, let's get ourselves a massage. It's called Shiradhara. I got my doggy down here. I think it's dreaming. Okay, so what is Shiradhara? It's when they spill drops of oil on your forehead for about 30 or 40 minutes, so they drip it on your head, and all the pain, if you're a migraine sufferer or you just have a headache, it all just disappears. I certainly never heard about anything like it before. So if you have a troubled forehead like me, you should consider trying this therapy. There was a guy and he was just slamming my forehead like so. Like, pretty much like this. By the way, with Sveta, however, he used a different approach, a different technique. So head massage is strongly recommended. And to tell you the truth, they make it better here than in Thailand. In Thailand, they kind of grab you by the back. But if you like head massage like I do, definitely try it out here in Sri Lanka. Obviously, they make it better here. And as for Shiradhara, I also strongly advise you try it because it's an interesting and unique kind of experience. Although there was one thing I didn't really like. It's when the oil is dripping down, it messes up your hair. And it's like you need to wash your hair about 3 times to take it off. 3 times should rid you of this problem. But Sveta decided not to go anyway, because she had to wash her hair about 7 times. So it's hard to get rid of this thing. So suit yourselves. I think it's awesome. Now, about Ella, briefly. Mountains, mountains, and nothing but mountains. Very beautiful. So you get to climb all those various peaks. And I made a little video on how to find a shortcut. So it was all really good and exciting. And so we went there and enjoyed the view. We stopped many times and we had a wonderful walk. I think it's definitely the kind of place you should visit. Food was delicious. The food was great. Great restaurants, not too pricey, so check it out. The place is really nice. Right, so then we went to Tissamaharama. We booked a fine hotel, but the local DJ was playing his music out loud. They were having some kind of party, or maybe it was a celebration of some sort. So anyway, we had to wait till about, 11 o'clock when they turned off the music. But damn, we planned a safari at 4:30 next day. We barely slept. So about safari, before that we only went to the zoo. It was nothing special, more sort of like an attraction for kids. There was a train and all you do is you just turn your head left and right. So the safari was different. It's like you go to the park and they even have leopards there. Elephants, but it's kind of hard to find them. And to find them, you gotta try pretty hard. So what you need is a good driver. So it's all pretty much depends on the driver. The driver we had wasn't bad, but he wasn't brilliant either. He was kind of satisfactory, I'd say. And don't get me wrong, he was trying pretty hard. He checked out many of his self-made points where the possibility of encountering animals was higher. He was trying to do his job good. So we saw a python, we even saw a little crocodile. 5 minutes later we saw a leopard. It's good if you have a good camera and possibly binoculars. Those are the gadgets we didn't have, unfortunately, but they would definitely come in handy. If you have a binoculars, take them. You're gonna need them. And you might also want to get a band. The one you're supposed to put in your ears, because it's gonna be cold for about 30 minutes as you get to the place. That's only in the morning. Anyway, it gets warmer quickly. Tea and coffee should get you going and keep you warm. So don't worry about it too much, I'd say. So when you're in that jeep, the road is kind of bumpy. But when they announced that you're gonna see a leopard soon, it's like the matter of a few moments. So that was cool. But it took us another hour or so to find another animal. To find a single animal. But it was cool anyway. It was very cool because when the driver stops, he starts searching for footprints and he found elephant's footprints at some point. So he showed it to us and we started looking for that elephant. So we slowed down the pace, looked around, and we couldn't see it anywhere, but the driver saw it. We thought he had a sight of an eagle because he managed to find that elephant pretty quickly. And he could spot different little birds and animals. That was cool. It was like we were strolling around and he was able to notice a monitor lizard. Who could have thought that? Because we got used to seeing lizards close to the ground, and here you are watching a big lizard high up on the tree, enjoying the sun. I've never seen a monitor lizard in my life. I never thought it could get that high. So we found an elephant and we stopped to observe it. We were hoping that it would come close to us, and you know those elephants, when they come closer, you get the feeling like something really big is coming your way. And you kind of think to yourself, damn, maybe it shouldn't come too close. Perhaps, maybe I was a bit hasty there, wishing for it to come closer. Because that elephant was massive. And if it's in an aggressive state, he can do whatever he wants with you. And so also we figured out that there was a whole family of those creatures. Moms or dads, kids, I don't know, really. I'm no expert. But I noticed that they were feeling okay. They liked it there. You just see that they were really happy. When you look at that elephants in the zoo, you kind of realize that they don't feel very well in captivity. you sort of understand that zoo is a wrong place, so you don't really feel like going there ever again. Safari was beautiful, really beautiful. And the best thing is that after all the hiking you do, when you come to a safari park, you just feel relaxed. You just sit there and you can always find a good toilet facility. Although you should bring your own toilet paper. They feed you watermelons. So it's a laid back kind of trip. You ride around in a car, the sun doesn't really bother you. It's all fine and good. You don't get sunstrokes or anything like that. You look to the left, you look to the right. I didn't even notice how 7 hours just passed so quickly. And so after that, we left the hotel and we went to see another town. It's called Mirissa. It's a coastal city, and the best thing about it is that you get to see the whales. And it's crucial that you contact the right people for the trip. We got the wrong operator, and we'll give you the name of the right company, the one you should contact. The way we see it, anyway. Of course, you can buy a 2,000 rupee trip, or you can get the one for 4,000, like we did. We ourselves live on some win. We thought we can get ourselves a better deal, and so we found one for 1,400. And we thought it was cool that we managed to do that. But the truth was that they put us on some kind of wrecked boat. There was no snorkeling, loads of people. So now I know that it's worth paying more. So we bought the trip for like 4,000 rupee. We came to the office, we liked the guy we were talking to. And then we came back to our hotel room. Which was cool, by the way. I liked it. And the owner was like, "You kidding? 2,000 rupee?" And we were like, "No way. We're gonna get the one for 4,000." And it was well worth it, because we saw those boats that pick you up if you only pay 2,000, and there was so much people. You could barely move in those things. And ours was fine. A lot of space, we moved around freely. If there's a whale over at one side, you could easily move it to it and check it out, and if it's on the left, you could do the same. So I checked out other boats, and there was no way they could move around freely like we did. So it's like, you can't go anywhere basically, you just stand still. So all I'm saying is that you should check out the price and the amount of people. There were only 30 people on our boat, I have you know. That's like comfortable. Food was okay. They even gave us a coconut, so it was all very good and lovely. Now about the whales. We went to see the whales, but I liked dolphins better. There were like thousands of them. And you could really see that they were happy, you know? It's like, when you look at those animals in their natural habitat, they act way different than when they are in captivity. So to me it was a genuine discovery. I noticed that they felt really good, that they were enjoying themselves. Those that you see in a dolphinarium are kind of sad looking. You know, okay, whatever, doesn't matter. So dolphins, whales, all good, awesome, definitely worth going. I liked it. Okay, what else? Ah yes, we went to an old town in Galle, and it was very lovely. We spent about 2 hours there and thought we should come back the next day. Although it wasn't too convenient, because it takes an hour to get there and then an hour to get back, so we didn't really feel like going back and forth. So we thought we'd skip it. And the cool thing was that the owner of the hotel we stayed at had a car. And so the guy is really easygoing and cool. And the best thing about him is that he has a car. So we asked to borrow the car and get ourselves a driver. So we asked his friend to show us around, and we had a mini tour, kind of. We saw some fishermen. They were kind of odd looking, sitting on some kind of sticks. I figured that because we came there at sunset to make photos and there wasn't a soul at first, but then all of a sudden some guy jumped out of the bushes asking us how many fishermen we would like to see. He asked if we needed 10 and guaranteed that he would bring them there to make a scene and pretend that they were fishing. But we thought it was kind of dumb to make photos of actors. So the next day, however, when we got ourselves a car, we went to see the cloth painting process. Very cool place. I don't remember what it was called exactly, but we came to check out that place and it was neato. We saw a stones mason, we saw how they made jewels and whatnot, walked around Galle a bit more, so it was all very nice. So basically I just wanted to say that it cost us 6,000 rupee to get a car for a whole day, and we went from Mirissa to Galle, we checked out both of those towns and got to Hikkaduwa. So that was a very good deal, I got the right contact, I'll share it with you, not a problem. Now about Hikkaduwa. First of all, feeding of turtles. You come to the beach and I'll send you the point where there are loads of them. You can find many of them right on the shore. And many of them don't even feel hungry because there are a lot of tourists and they all feed them and they feel full. So they don't really feel like eating anymore. Right, and another place you should definitely see is a turtle farm. Okay, so Sri Lanka was awesome. I highly recommend it, it's lovely. Come over, don't worry, it'll be alright. Bye.